Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny and Dana, here to chat about Boro's first summer signing, Liam Roberts, on a free from Northampton Town. We're going to discuss in this video what exactly does Liam Roberts do and what does he bring. Dana, new goalkeeper. This is exciting. What's your thoughts on it? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I am. I think obviously he's relatively unknown from our standpoint, but it's good, isn't it? It's good to bring in a keeper, and it's good to hear loads of positive things about him as well. A lot of Northampton fans are gutted to see him leave, and I think that's always a good sign when the opposition insight is very glowing in their reference. And I mean, last season the first player that we signed was a goalkeeper. This season the first player that we signed is a goalkeeper. Hopefully Liam Roberts is much better than how Joe Lumley performed for us last season. But yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I am too. I think I'm excited that we've brought a keeper in at 27 as well. It's still relatively young in a goalkeeper sense, but I feel like we just need to get a flavour from an external point of view before we really delve in, compare to Joe Lumley, to see if we can potentially be a number one this season. So we spoke to James from the Northampton Chronicle and Charles from It's All Cobblers to Me podcast to see what exactly are we getting from Liam Roberts.
Hello, James Hennigan from the Northampton Chronicle and Echo. Just giving some thoughts on goalkeeper Liam Roberts. Yeah, I'd say that's a very, very good signing on paper. He couldn't have done much more. He couldn't have impressed much more in his only season at Northampton. He signed last summer from Walsall. And we weren't sure what to expect really, because he came with sort of a mixed reputation. A lot of Walsall fans didn't really rate him at all. So weren't expecting too much, but he like I say, he's been so good. He's had an absolutely superb season, 21 clean sheets, some great saves, and just his all-round game is so strong. He's commanding. He'll come out and collect crosses. He's very vocal. He's very passionate, and the fans love his passion. He became famous for a celebration after games where he'd run up to sort of the away end and do a few fist pumps and beat his chest and stuff like that, and fans loved it. And yeah, 21 clean sheets. I think that was the most for any goalkeeper in the top 4 tiers of English football last season. And he, it wasn't a case of him not having anything to do. He made some great saves, and he won them a lot of points last season. I think if you had to say one area where you could improve, it's probably his distribution. It's not bad, but it's definitely an area where he could get better at. I think he said that himself, and he's looking to improve. But it's still okay. It's certainly not the worst I've seen. And otherwise, he's just very, very impressive, very consistent. He won all the awards at the end of season presentation. I think he won the Fans Player and the Players Player of the Year award, which says all you need to know. Yeah, I think it's a good signing. It's obviously hard to say because it's a big step up, 2 divisions. But he's at a good age. He's got plenty of experience, and he's a confident fellow as well. He'll fancy himself. He will feel he can compete at that level, and if he's given a fair chance, I think there's no reason why he can't be successful and be a very, very, very solid championship goalkeeper. So yeah, just an all-round good signing. I think Northampton fans are disappointed and gutted to see him go, but at the same time, it's not too much of a surprise. He only agreed a 1-year deal when he joined Northampton last summer. I think he wanted a 1-year deal because he wanted to play at a high level. So as soon as he had the season he did, it was pretty obvious that he was never going to stay. He's too good, and to be honest, as disappointed as a lot of fans are, I think they also accept and understand that he deserves this move. You can't really begrudge him. It's a big club moving up 2 divisions. Obviously reuniting with Chris Wilder, who had so much success at Northampton as well. So yeah, fair play to him. I hope he does really well. I think all fans will send their best wishes to him, and yeah, just really hope he's given a chance and he does well. And yeah, he couldn't have done much more for Northampton to get them promoted. Unfortunately, they missed out, but he was a massive part of the reason why they were so close and they had such a good season.
Hi guys, it's Charles from the It's All Cobblers to Me podcast here. Thanks so much for asking me on to give my opinion on your new signing, Liam Roberts. First off, I just want to say how great it's been having him for the season that we had him for. He's been brilliant for us, and it's a shame that we've only had him for that one season and we didn't get longer. But 21 clean sheets, it's fair to say, I think, that we had probably the best of him in the year that he spent with us. I'm sure he's going to go on to do much bigger and better things in the future too, hopefully with yourselves. The one thing that you're going to get is a player that really, really wants to do well. And I think that in this day and age is something that all fans love to see, isn't it? You want to see a player with as much passion as the fans do in the stand. And Robbo has definitely got that in spades. As I said before, 21 clean sheets in League Two tells its own story, really. I mean, he was part of a fantastic defence last season. It wasn't all about him, but whenever he was called upon, you could guarantee that he would make a very, very good fist of making the save when he was needed to. I think in the playoffs for us, he was our biggest miss by far. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, I find it a bit difficult to talk about weaknesses because I'm not really sure that we've seen him have that many. In reality, I can't really give any weaknesses, and it's not because he's brilliant or as much as he is. I think we just didn't really have him long enough to be able to go through and find all of those out. In terms of his strengths, though, for us, after what we'd had the year before, pretty much everything. But to name three things, his distribution is really good. He's good with both his feet and with his throwing as well. His shot stopping is really good. I think I struggled to see a better keeper at League Two level last year in terms of their shot stopping ability than Liam Roberts. And the other thing that he's really good at doing is coming and claiming his crosses. That has been a real visible presence in between the sticks at Sixfields last season. So I think you're going to end up with having a player who is going to give his all for the shirt because essentially he wants to improve. He wants to play at the highest level that he can. And now being in the Championship with you guys, albeit as a number two, he's going to push whoever it is that's got that number one shirt. He is going to push them to try and get in. And I don't think he'll let you down either when he does get the chance. So I presume you'll probably see him in the early stages of the League Cup next season. That'll be your first glimpses of him, other than in friendlies, of course. And I don't think he'll do anything wrong. I think you'll find a keeper there that is just as solid as he can potentially be behind whatever he's got to work with as a back 4 or 5 or whatever that you guys play with. So in summary, we're probably losing the best keeper that we've had for a long time. It's going to be really difficult to replace him. And I just wish him all the best at Boro. And I wish you guys all the best as well. Sir Chris, Lord Alan, Premiership, here you come, eh?
Thank you so much for that, guys. That would really appreciate you coming on and helping us out. But Lord Chris, you know, and then
Lord Alan.
Lord Alan as well.
Love it.
It's just good. I think it's so nice to have that response from a different fan group to say like that. There's so much confidence in a goalkeeper. I remember from the last year when we signed Joe Lumley, and it was kind of like why have you brought him in kind of thing. But right now it seems to be like a really positive move for us. Let's paint a picture of what he brings then, because they did have three main strengths around his distribution, his coming for crosses, and his kicking and throwing, his shot stopping. So I feel like it was good to probably. Do you want to compare him in terms of prevented goals first, or should we just go for his comparison from Joe Lumley?
We'll start with the prevented goals because our pod friend Luke did put a tweet up about since the 2019-20 season where he had a little bit of a shaky performance level in terms of the actual prevented goals metric there you can see in the minuses. But since that, he's prevented nearly 17 goals in his career, which is fantastic. I think that's exactly what you want, isn't it, from a goalkeeper? You look at save percentage, but it doesn't always factor in the actual quality of chances. But the prevented goals metric is really good to be able to pinpoint whether a goalkeeper is good at doing his job, which is keeping the ball out the back of the net. So as we saw there with the stat that Luke put up, 17 prevented goals since that 1920 season. I think that's brilliant. And yeah, as James said, picked up all the awards from last season, which is like the Adama Traore quadruple scoop. But yeah, really good. And I will say as well, something that I kind of didn't mention at the top of the show is his interview was really, really good. It wasn't headline statements or putting a picture of Janino up like Martin Braithwaite did. It was just being genuinely happy to be there. And the quote about taking it all in, he's a little bit of a bubble and he doesn't want that bubble to burst because it's such a good experience. It's really good to hear that, and it's really endearing, and it's making me want to root for him now. Obviously, the reports are saying that he's coming to be our number 2, but I hope that when he does play, as Charles said, probably in the League Cup, that he does really well for us.
Yeah, I think the step up and stuff like that with a goalkeeper, it can be a little bit of an easier jump because the position of it itself, yeah, it might have more high quality chances, better quality strikers, but overall, I feel like his position is quite. I think the jump up is a little bit easier, but I feel like we should compare him because I think it's to Joe Lumley, given that he was our number 1 last season. And there's a lot of greens, to probably put it nicely. How does Liam Roberts compare to Joe Lumley? And I think there's one big thing in terms of not just the exits per 90 and also like probably the save distribution. I think the save percentage as well is fairly high at 75% in comparison. But what I did find out on MyScout as well, which we didn't put on here, is ability to start attacks fairly quickly and how accurate his distribution is. His distribution was really, really solid. And what Northampton wanted to do last year was to try and catch teams on the break. And what he was able to do is catch from the crosses and get them on their attack fairly quickly. And that was from either throwing or kicking. And I'll probably find the graphic and we'll put it on Twitter probably this week. But it's a lovely graphic where he's able to distribute it really effectively and very accurate in the way he crosses and kicks the ball out. But in terms of his conceded per 90, 0.76 is outstanding. XG against him, 0.8 as well. And prevented goals, like 2.18 versus a minus 1.4 speaks a lot of volumes. Do you think that he could potentially be a number 1 then? I know he has came in to be a number 2, and whoever Middlesbrough want to bring in as a number 1, appreciate there is a lot of rumours. There's about 1 million rumours about Middlesbrough going around this season. We could be signing every goalkeeper in the world at this point. But do you think that he probably deserves a chance to be a number 1?
I think that remains to be seen. Obviously, the ascent is quite something. I know that Northampton were in the playoffs in League 2 last season, but even that jump between the top of League 2 and 7th in the Championship is considerable and significant. And a lot of Northampton fans believe that he can make that step up. Now, of course, this is the highest level that he's been at in terms of the clubs that he's been at, but it could well be the number 1. It much does depend on who we bring in, because we did see last season we were flickering between 2 keepers. The season before that we were flickering between 2 keepers. Hopefully it is the 3rd time lucky and we don't see that this season, but it does seem like he is going to be the number 2. But from all the sort of sounds that are coming out from Northampton fans, he's a pretty good number 2 and probably does deserve his chance. So like I said, when he plays in the Cups or if he gets his chance in the league, I really, really hope that he can show us what he's capable of, because by all accounts he did in League 2 with Northampton last season.
I think it's also a change in a type of style of goalkeeper you want to bring in, and styles of goalkeepers is definitely a very new phenomenon, especially with Manuel Neuer becoming probably the advocate of that, to be honest. I think when you can probably see this in like the exits per 90, really. I think when you look at like the 2.0 to 1.55 of Joe Lumley, it shows that he's more than willing to come out of his box, try and play that sweeper keeper role, and with this like strong distribution, it can pay dividends for us. I think if he was to come in and maybe play 1 or 2 games a season, the difference from him and maybe this other keeper might be fairly decent. But go on, what were you going to say?
Also with that exits, it's coming off his line to command from crosses as well. So like both of them said there in the opposition insight, dominance, and Lumley wasn't dominant and wasn't really confident in what he was doing last season. And I know it was a new role for him playing that sweeper keeper, but even when he came out, there was the oohs and ahs and the kind of sharp intake of breath whenever he came out, and he sliced clearances left, right and centre. even from just standard corners and free kicks, having a goalkeeper that can command his area is really important, because one of the reasons why Lumley got dropped last season was because he didn't command his area in that game against Birmingham, when he came rushing right out. And Mark Roberts, pretty much on the edge of the 18-yard box, just had a header, scored. So yeah, it's good, you know, that exits per 90, 2.8 was it? I think 2.08, really good. Just dominance really in the box.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think overall, good goalkeeper. So what does Liam Roberts bring? Good distribution. He's commanding in his box, and he's better than Joe Lumley according to all the data and stats. Obviously, the goal preventions, all of the accolades from last season. I think it's a really good bit of business for Middlesbrough, and I wouldn't be surprised if we brought in a new keeper fairly shortly. With all the new signings, hopefully, fingers crossed that we can do. But obviously, Joe Lumley's gone to Reading now, so let's see him have the season of his life for Reading now, and maybe a 10 million move from there. But that's it, Dana. Thanks for joining me as always. I thank you very much for the listener for listening and also watching us on YouTube as well. But that's it. That's a small video on Liam Roberts of the Boro Breakdown.